How's it going, everybody? Today's video is going to be a suggested video from YouTuber Rocky Slay, who asked to do a review about the latest all-terrain Tensor Magnesium trucks. Now, I have not kept up with the newest technologies when it comes to boards, trucks, wheels, much of anything at all over the last couple of years from when I was filming, because my main focus was just going out and getting tricks. And I know I'd seen these trucks before. Going into my local shop, I'd seen them, but I did not know that they were necessarily branded new from Tensor. So I'm gonna go onto the Tensor website. We're gonna look at this together and see what we can make of it. The all-terrain, see if we can go down here. They have it here. So still going with the lightest trucks, which is definitely their thing, being Magnesium. Here we go. New all-terrain geometry, totally redesigned trucks. So let's see what they say here. So it is a lower kingpin, which for skateboarding, I kind of have a little bit of mixed feelings on that, only because there's only so low you can make a kingpin before you start having to really mess with the truck a lot, and it doesn't turn as well, it doesn't respond as well. But just looking at this picture, it reminds me of the Crux down low height as far as the kingpin, so that's really cool. And the one thing I actually really like compared to the regular tensors, I'm not sure if we can find a picture of them, but the standard tensors, yeah, so you see right here the regular tensors, the mag 10s or whatever, they have where the washer would be, they have the bushing just sitting on the base plate. I prefer actually having a washer. Some people don't, but I do. I ride on mine the bones bushings. I like having a washer there because it helps with keeping the tightness of the truck in play. It doesn't loosen up as fast, just from my personal experience. So if this is what they're doing for the new all-terrain geometry and they're keeping the washer on the bottom, I am actually all for that. I like that they're not doing the slider plates anymore. So years ago, this is like well over, 14, 15 years ago, when the slider plates first were like really being, put on the market, and, people were going crazy about them because it's like, oh, you can slide it out, destroy it, and then you just replace it. I actually took it to a gigantic 9-foot drop, and as soon as I landed, the slider plate busted out. So, I had nothing to hold the, I don't know what you guys call it on the hanger, but right here, I've heard 3 names of it, and one of them generally makes people laugh. But I've heard it called the neck, I've heard it called the nipple, and I've heard it called the pivot point. And so, what sucked about that experience I had was because I lost that plastic piece, or it broke off, and I couldn't just slide it back in without it, wiggling around or eventually popping out again. I lost the ability to slide, and I lost the ability, not really the ability to slide, but I lost the sliding plate, so I couldn't slide it as well. And I also lost the ability to have a pivot point on my truck, so that really, really blew. And again, I like how low it is, and hopefully, with them redesigning it, it still is very, very responsive. Again, I have not tried these at all, but I like that personally. And I'm so glad that they're not doing what other brands have done before. Is the one truck gimmick that I cannot stand is inverted kingpins, because me personally, I've not run into any other skaters that feel like this, but this is what I feel about it. Inverted kingpins, I do not like them because I like to actually see how much threading is through the kingpin nut, so I know that my front truck is just ever so slightly looser than my back truck. And it's just something that's, mental, something that I feel superstitious about my board. But just feeling the front and the back is one thing, but I want to visibly see that my front truck is supposed to be looser than my back, because for certain tricks, certain times of my skating, I've done a lot more back truck tricks than front truck, so my back truck wears in a lot faster, and so therefore, I want to know that still, even during those times, that my back truck is tighter than my front truck. And then you have here the interlocking bushings. So I don't know what brand did it, before, but they had something like this too, where the bushing actually goes into the hanger a little bit, where it's supposed to lock in. But honestly, it's cool. It's great. It makes it to where you don't have a bushing like it. It's what I call it pancaking. So if you before you actually, because white bushings do this best, they start to turn brown or black, so you can actually see where they wear in a lot easier. Versus if you have like colored bushings, clear bushings, just any other color. But white shows it really nice that you actually are breaking the corners in. Because what I always look for in my bushings, if it's a stock bushing, is I like to see that the top here and the bottom here, when I look at my truck, is starting to become discolored. That means that they're actually breaking in. And then I can actually start tightening them, because I don't tighten them how I want at first. Because then it's what's called pancaking, where you put so much pressure, and because it's so soft at first, that you start to actually only tighten the inner part of the bushing, so where you would see the bottom piece coming out here. And then the outside is just looking for any escape, because there's so much pressure that it starts to just spread it out to the rest of the bushing, and then you pretty much have a really bad top bushing. Because the bottom bushing doesn't really ever do that. It eventually will start to come out the very front that I've seen. And I mean, again, just rocking the yellow bones bushings, it's happened to me quite a bit. But I like this. I'm not swayed because of that, because again, I just take out the stock bushings anyway. But as far as people that ride stock exactly the truck as it is, when they get it, I think this will be a really good thing for them. The forged base plate, awesome. I ride Thunders and Independent as well, and the forged base plates are really nice. They have a lot of good strength to them, while being able to, because it's forged, they're able to minimize some of the thickness in the base plate, so that way it's still strong, but it's reinforced, so that way you can actually have a lighter truck as well. So stronger truck, lifetime guarantee, which is great. So let's see right here where it says all-terrain geometry totally redesigned. So a taller truck, you can obviously tell that this is a lot taller than the original style that they do. Let me see if I can get, so these are turned around, damn. But we'll go to the shop part and I'll be able to show you. So the one thing that, when it comes to trucks, that they cannot really mess with too much is where the pivot point is, right here. So where the neck goes in. And the reason for that is because you can't really open up the sides too much when it comes to the pivot cup, because eventually it's going to make it to where, yeah, you can turn a lot more, but at the same time, you're not going to be having a really secure pivot cup in place. I've noticed before, for certain brands, I won't name them for what they are, but usually the looser that you have your truck, the better chance that your pivot cup will start to slowly rotate in where it's supposed to be held. And it'll, for certain people that like their truck to feel a certain way, it can make it to where the truck stays looser a little longer until the whole thing is broken in. But what would happen is, if you try to widen it a little bit, like as far as changing anything, you can't really do that without really messing with the truck. And eventually, if you land really hard to one side, especially for those that go fast, you'll start to actually wear down the sides where the pivot cup are. And one, you'll destroy the pivot cup faster, and you'll make it to where, depending on how harsh you are on your truck, you can have the neck actually break through. I've seen a couple people when I used to, for some of you guys that don't know, I used to work at Zoomies, and I can make a whole separate video on that. But anyway, I've had people where the neck actually busted through the sides. It's very rare, but I mean, obviously it can happen. Anything can happen, right? So it looks like, because they used to have the wings, or what I call the wings, so they would really kind of come down from like right here all the way to right here, because you eventually, like I said, you can't really do anything with here, because it has to be a certain width across to be able to fit into the pivot cup. So they've reduced it to where it kind of looks like Venture to me, which it's not a bad thing. It's not really a good thing or a bad thing. It's just kind of whatever you feel about it. But they've taken the weight off of here. They've probably reinforced some of the strength here, because it is a weak area. I've seen people that just crack all the way through, and now they don't have a truck. So reduced weight, lighter than all the others. Being magnesium, that's going to happen. And then reinforced hanger, so it's a lot more strength to it. If this is a magnesium truck, that is something that they need to continuously, for some people that don't think it's necessary to keep promoting that, they need to, because back when magnesiums first came out, I used to skate with a guy named Kenny Wheeler, and great skater, hard flips on lock. He was amazing. He was super into the magnesium lights when they first came out. It was one of the things that he brought to my attention. He's like, dude, I have to go get a set. Eventually saved up enough money, went and got him, and what happened was he ended up cracking the hanger right here within a week of getting them, and that was it wasn't really a bad thing. I don't want to say, because obviously cracking them is bad, you don't want to do that, but because of the way that they cracked, it was not able to rotate on the actual axle at all, so it stayed in place, and he still skated them perfectly fine. It wasn't really jeopardizing his ability to skate, but he cracked them right here. So I'm not sure, because again, it was the first 6 months that they were out. It could just be a defective truck, but I did see a lot more people when I used to also volunteer at Wood Pushers skate shop, that people would bring in their magnesium lights and they would crack them. And I'm not sure what the reasoning for that is, but it was something that they need to continuously, for marketing reasons, because it was magnesium, which I'm certain by this point it's fine now, but it should be something that they keep utilizing to make sure people know that they are actually quite strong. So aluminum and magnesium light sizes. So I would definitely be in the 5.5 if I got it. Lower kingpin, that's great. Interlocking bushings, it's awesome. Refined geometry. Okay, so this is the part where I wanted to know is what they're talking about for refined geometry. So with this, the angle for which the pivot point goes and meets the hanger, and then the kingpin is angled as well, because let me see if I can do this without making it too weird. So you have your kingpin and you have your pivot point, right? So eventually, if it's too much to the side, you're going to not get as much turn, whereas if you have it angled a little bit more, you're able to turn a little bit tighter and have a greater pinch. So again, it's kind of a weird example, but you want to make it to where eventually, if you want to be able to get more of a turn, the more that they cross, or at a tighter angle that they cross, it's going to allow for a little bit of a better turn, as well as a greater pinch when it comes to crooks, feebles, tricks of that nature. So it looks like what they did is they really just kind of messed with the kingpin a little bit and brought that, because it kind of goes flat here, but looking at it, it kind of angles still a little bit sharper towards the hanger, while this kind of stays the same. So I mean, that could be what the refined geometry is. I'd actually have to look into it a lot more, but as far as this video, that's what it looks like. Is they've made it to where they've kind of tweaked the kingpin and very ever so slightly tweaked this, because tensors, the other ones, are a little bit sharper up. So let's go ahead and we'll go to shop the new terrain geometry. So let's see, I'm gonna pull up an old one. So okay, here's the Mag 10s. So, or at least I call them the Mag 10s just because of that. So let's see. And I'll do this. So you have here the angle for which the truck goes up to the hanger. And then you have this guy. Yeah, so this one's definitely a lot more up and down, I would say, comparatively speaking to this one. So it's really hard to be able to demonstrate, without actually putting the two pictures side by side, which I might just edit this part out and then put the two pictures in there for you. But looking at here for the new all-terrain geometry one, it definitely looks like they've actually pushed the pivot point a little bit farther forward to meet the kingpin a little bit tighter. So instead of it being like this, they've probably done like this. So again, it doesn't have to be something super drastic, but it's definitely a lot tighter of an angle going here and here. So they are obviously too closer. So you have the hanger, the axle right here, and then you have the kingpin, and then here it's not as tight. As far as the ability to turn, I would definitely say the new all-terrain geometry is a lot more responsive just off that, and it's going to turn a lot better. and hopefully be able to, lock in pinches a lot easier for you. So definitely, I like this a lot. I really do. I've actually never really looked at them side by side, but now that I do, it's great. So, and also too, for weight, I think they've chunked out a little bit from the base as well, so it doesn't really go up as much. And again, it just makes for that angle to be able to meet up with the axle a little bit nicer. So, I mean, the hole here is not quite as big as this one, but you also have a lot chunkier hanger as well. That's what it looks like. If I was to go and get some tensors, this is definitely what I get. And I feel bad it's 2 years after the fact, but here, let's just read this real quick. New all-terrain truck features. So a taller truck, which makes it to where it's going to be a mid to a high truck, which is, I think personally, if you're wanting to do a lot of grind variations, I think it'd be good. When it comes to doing flip tricks and having a tighter truck, like it doesn't turn quite as much, a low truck will definitely do you a lot better. Just because it's not going to naturally want to turn as much. Then you have the refined geometry, responsive turns. We adjusted the angles of the truck pivot and kingpin, creating a tighter turning more responsive truck, which again I already went over, which is great. Lower kingpin, no grind hangups. That's hard to say against unless you have an inverted kingpin, kind of like the Crux ones do. But lower kingpin is always a good thing. Just don't want to make it too low. Interlocking bushings, better control, reinforced hanger, more strength, and reduced weight, lighter than all the others. So, awesome. I think it's great looking truck, and I really like that they took the time to really redesign it, because I mean, obviously you can't reinvent the wheel necessarily, you can only make it better. And with this, they didn't reinvent the truck, they just made it a lot better from what it looks like as far as the geometry of it, because obviously that's what they're going with on this, to make sure people know that it is a better truck than what they've made, and possibly what their argument is that it's a better truck than all the others. So great looking truck. I definitely would recommend it for anybody that's wanting something that is going to be better turning, more responsive, just on the stock version of the truck without swapping anything else. I think this would be a great truck. And yeah, I hope that this has helped at all. And I hope that you enjoyed the review. If you want to see more content like this, please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified whenever a new video goes out. And if you like this video, please give it a like and share it. That way we can help to grow the channel to be able to do more videos like this for you guys in the future. And I'll see you guys in the next review or the next video. Take care.